So I'm already talking with Reverend Donna Little. Reverend Donna Little has been on my path with me forever since I started in Unity. I could tell you many stories of the many times we have been together to pray. And she has brought me into this place of being. So, everybody, let's welcome Reverend Donna Little. Yay! Well, there has been a lot of change at Unity Olympics, but I wanted this week to be about World Day of Prayer because one of the most things that engaged me at Unity and in Unity is my prayer practice. Reverend Donna brought me into the prayer practice when I started going to Unity right off the bat and asked me if I wanted to be one of the prayer chaplains. Now, just like today, when I discovered with the changes at Unity, I may have to speak, I went into a little place of fear. And that's not a good place to be. But I am glad she has always stood with me. And what I want to say, she's always held the high watch for me ever since we've met. And I love today's daily word because that's truly the essence. It's I am here and I care. Now, this is the Sunday, September 10th daily word about care. Now, what I wanted to share as we go through prayer is the fact that I've had to do a lot of prayer this week. And so my prayers changed, which is kind of unusual for me, but it started changing even more so as I started grieving once again for my father. And this last weekend, it turned into a celebration.
Yeah.
A celebration. And as we go through life, our prayer changes. I was raised Presbyterian. And, I discovered there's like 27 prayers that Jesus said alone, and almost, I want to say 600 other references, depending on which Bible you use, where it talks about prayer in the Bible. Everybody has their favorites. This year's World Day of Prayer, what they did is connected it to James Dillard Freeman's prayer of protection. But, there's many prayers out there. One of my favorite ones is the prayer of guidance. And one of the old standbys is the Lord's Prayer. And as I reflected back with my daughter the other day, and I said, I wanted to do this service about World Day of Prayer. I wanted to use the Lord's Prayer, but the thought came to me that when my father was transitioning, Tim, the prayer chaplain, turned into Tim, the swear chaplain. And so I had to go back to something that I knew. And what I knew is out there is love. Yesterday, Donna corrected me and she said, there's a wonderful phrase in the way of mastery, and it's your love, loving and lovable. Well, most of the prayers that I liked in the Bible were about love. We're about love. And that's what World Day of Prayer means to me, is spreading that love with everyone. Now, there are many questions I've always wanted to ask Reverend Donna. So I sent her a list of questions. Like I said, she is the one that led me into prayer. And the first prayer that I heard that changed my mind and my perception about prayer was by Reverend Donna. And then as Reverend Donna and I were doing the Unity Basics class this year, at the end of it, I saved a prayer just for me because it was a prayer for healing. It was a prayer for healing that if you took my name out of it, it applied to everyone. And that's one of the things that Reverend Donna taught me is every prayer for yourself is a prayer for the world, and every prayer for the world is a prayer for you. So as I became more engaged as being a prayer chaplain, it led me on to more questions of how I could deepen myself. So Reverend Donna, it would be the one I'd go to for that deepening in that connection with spirit. So Reverend Donna, I think I sent you 20 questions. Are there any reflections? Because World Day of Prayer is about reflection also. Are there any of those prayers that took you immediately into reflection?
The questions?
The questions.
The questions took me into reflection?
Yeah.
Well, I felt like that I was in L&O again. L&O, it means licensing and ordination, and there are committees that are set up to support each of the ministerial candidates as they go through their training. And you meet with your team twice a year, in the 2 semesters. So once in the fall and then once again in the spring. And they are the ones that evaluate you for ministerial consciousness. How is your ministerial consciousness? And do they feel like you will make a good candidate to be a minister? And, for this congregation in particular, one of the people that I dearly loved that was on my L&O team was Richard Levy. And Richard was one of he was here at Unity in the Olympics for his first church assignment after his graduation from Unity in Kansas City. So all of that to say, was there anything that struck me? And as I was thinking about this, as we were talking, Tim says, how has prayer affected you? And I can't remember what all you said, and I'm going, oh. So I've been thinking about it since we talked about it. And so the thing that I would want to share is that it's been a long step-by-step process. And prayer has been one of the most important pieces that were a part of any of the major changes that I've made in my life. And the whole purpose of those changes has been to have a closer relationship with God. I remember as a teenager, when my family moved from Indiana to Illinois, we moved to Watsika, Illinois, if anybody knows where that is. And my family decided to go to a different church. We'd been in a Southern Baptist church, and we started going to a Disciples of Christ Christian church. And I loved this minister. And I would go after school on some days just to sit and talk with him and ask him questions. And unlike my earlier tradition, it was okay to ask questions. And he didn't always give me an answer. A lot of times he would give me something to do, something to read and think about and come back and we'd talk about it, or, some reference in the Bible that we would talk about. But it was always, yes, but, and look at this. So one of the things that I discovered in those days with him was the thing that I wanted more than anything in my life was to be in connection with that power. I didn't understand all the aspects of the one power and the one present. I didn't understand that at all, but I knew that that's where I wanted to be. I wanted to be in that experience. I wanted to find ways to feel that connection with God, with Spirit. And I thought a lot about in those days about what am I here for? If there are all these humans on the planet that God has created, then why am I here? What is my purpose? And I kept getting over and over again that my purpose on being on the planet this time is to support God, to be a friend to God, to be there for God, and listen to Him, listen or her or whatever. So that was the thing that started me in the direction of how do I communicate? How do I communicate with this person? I also remember as a first year ministerial student living near Unity Village, I attended the church in Lee Summit, with what's her name? Anyway, she'll come to me. She'll come to me. I can see her. Anyway, and I ended up being on a committee, of course, and working with the board. And one of the things that we talked about one session was, what is the most important thing in your life? And for me at that point, after all those years, it was still being in connection, having the connection with God. So in my travel, my journey with unity, I found unity after I had been introduced to meditation through a program in St. Louis called Gateway Seminars. And it's based upon the teachings of Jose Silva and his work, and the teachings that he started out teaching his children how to meditate, how to focus their minds, and the power of the mind. And I fell in love with that. And when my class at Gateway started, a lot of the people in my particular group were members of Unity or had attended Unity. And, all the time you would hear them saying, well, we do this in Unity. We meditate here in Unity. We do it this way and we do that. And we use these words. And it was like, whoa, who are these people? I need to find out more about them. I have been places where I didn't have a prayer practice, and so I had to kind of create my own prayer practice. And so I've learned about the Jack Boland
Mastermind.
Yes, thank you. Mastermind. And so when I was in Dallas at Unity Church of Christianity, and just really starting my Unity kinds of classes, I started a group at the church, and we would meet once a week and use mastermind prayer as a chart, as a symbol, as a pathway to do our prayer work. And we now use that, or have been using that, with our blessings for the chaplains, our support for chaplains, just so that our chaplains stay in that connection and they feel that they are supported, not only in the work that they do for us and guiding our prayer work, but also for anything that's up in their life that they need prayer support for. So it's that has been a major shift and a major change. And then it just all kind of flows together every time I make a decision. When I started going up to Unity Village for classes, for training, every time I would go into the Peace Chapel and say, what is mine to do? What can I help you with? What is mine to do? And I would get an answer. And the answer was always, you're doing it. Just keep on doing what you're doing. So I was learning, and I was practicing prayer, practicing meditation, practicing listening to people, all of those important things. And before I was invited to come to ministerial school, I'll say it that way, I was studying to be a licensed Unity teacher. And so one of the things that I wanted to do was to specialize in chaplaincy and prayer chaplaincy. And so I had to take a prayer chaplain training, a regular hospital training for chaplains. And I went to Baylor Hospital in Dallas, which is a huge Baptist hospital. And it was very interesting being a unity person in that environment because people pray differently in different traditions. And some people think that theirs is the only way. And so I know that a lot of unity people feel like, I don't want anybody else to pray for me because they don't know how to do it. They bring in all of this other stuff. And I've learned that it really doesn't matter, if the intention of the person who's praying with you is for your highest and best, it doesn't really matter what words they use. It doesn't really matter at all. And it gives them a sense of connection to be able to pray with you and to and you for you to accept that, That doesn't mean that I have to accept all of the words, and it doesn't have to mean that what the words are something that I even necessarily agree with, but I feel their heart. I feel their heart and their willingness to give me this time and this part of their connection with spirit. And that's very, very powerful for me. And I had one guy who was in the heart unit, and I walked in and he said, "Who are you?" I said, "I'm the chaplain." And he says, "Oh, I can't pray with you. You're a woman." And I said, "Okay, how about if I stand here and support you and you pray?" He says, "I can do that." So, kind of, it's very fluid, it's very flexible, but it's always keeping God first, keeping God in that communication and allowing it to open and include other people, other people's needs, and what they're comfortable with. So one of the other things about the chaplaincy program is finding a name for God that's acceptable to other people if you're praying for other people. And that's when I started calling my God Spirit. And so you'll hear me start my prayers with Sweet Spirit, and just going into that place where I feel that connection, that touch, that presence in my heart. And then I can open that and share that with other people that I'm speaking with. I feel that when I hug people, I feel that. And some people, I imagine, feel that back from me. They feel that depth. You can speak to that. And so my life continues to change. My prayers change. And we'll find out more about that today, and we'll find out more about that next week.
Well, thank you. Thank you. The theme of this year is the heart of healing. And when I first started chaplain training, you were one of the great teachers down when we had a retreat center and we got together all the North Texas chaplains.
The Dallas area.
It was the Dallas area.
Yeah.
And you, in the midst of the dialogues, you said, every thought is a prayer. Every thought is a prayer. And that's what led me into a different understanding that, you also said it differently. What is that Mike Dooley phrase?
Oh, thoughts become things.
Become things.
Choose the good ones.
And I think that's why my favorite prayer quote is, coming from Matthew, what is it, 11:24?
I don't know.
You don't know? Okay. Well, it does get you to think back on different things, but every thought is a prayer. It's said in a couple different ways in scripture. Every thought is a prayer. And then one time you told me that most every prayer is for healing. And I had to sit there and think about that, because it is. Healing in my sense is staying in that oneness and in that connection.
Yeah. I
and I
call that
can
I call that alignment.
alignment
Alignment.
with that higher heart, you
Yeah,
know, and it's getting it out of that head space, you know, moving it from that head to the heart.
right.
But the first shift I had is, you know, oh, I don't think I pray right. So, you know, I went to chaplain training, and one of the things was the 5 steps, you know, which is basically breathing, relaxing, and meditating, you know, sitting in that presence. Kind of like you were saying, you went to Unity Village for the first time. I eventually made it there, and I did sit, and I want to say it was the prayer chapel because on the wall it said, be still and know.
Yeah, I think that's the same place.
Be still and know. And
You get into it on the side of the building.
yeah, and I think that's why the first thing I needed to focus on was peace. And after that, I discovered the progression of Christmas. You go from peace, love, and so forth onto joy. If you start out with peace, which is the peace I give you, which is one of the first prayers I said publicly as a Presbyterian, peace I give to you. You know, that's how we closed out the service. But if you start with that peace with yourself, that's that presence that I want to say most of us chaplains possess because people see us as a person of peace. And once you learn how to be at peace with yourself, it helps you be at peace with others.
That's right. That's
That's
right.
right.
Yeah,
Peace I give you.
yeah, yeah. And that's one of the things, the red letter things that Jesus says in the Bible. It's my peace I give you.
My peace I give you.
Yeah. And I don't know where it is.
Well, you know, I have it tagged on another page, but I don't want all of us out there in the church sanctuary to go, Tim's slipping over to his notes. But there's many things out there. Now, I wanted to talk to you about one other thing because Reverend Donna and I, before we close out with a little bit of the information from World Day of Prayer, and I'm going to have Reverend Donna split a meditation with me at the end or a prayer. Would you like to do the prayer or the meditation? Hmm.
I
See,
they're very similar.
they're
You know,
very similar.
yeah, they're very similar. I find that it's I have basically one way of communicating with spirit. And sometimes it's used as a meditation and sometimes it's used as a prayer. But I find that the longer that, and I have a few years of practice at this, that the longer that I do it, the more similar it becomes. That's not so much an asking, but it is in doing what I need to do in my head space and in my heart space to create that connection, to actually be in that connection and to experience it and to be able to share that feeling that I'm feeling and bring somebody else along with me, perhaps. So I'll do the meditation.
All right. You'll do the meditation. So, in honor of World Day of Prayer, we're going to do a brief affirmation of what the World Day of Prayer is so that I can guide you in a prayer supporting your heart of healing. The affirmation is I open my heart to healing in this moment. And as I already pointed out, to me, healing is being, I don't know, I think I learned this from my doc, side by side, in alignment, as Reverend Donna says, with spirit.
Yeah.
Now, I still do use the basic 5 steps for prayer. And one of those things that is in those 5 steps of prayer, Reverend Donna mentioned, is we come up with a name for spirit. And we come up with how we want to address. And as Donna said, she goes into the state of meditation, and I say I change my focus. And then I realize, as it says in the 5 steps, which for most of you out there, if you went through our Unity Basics class, it's relax. Our document says concentrate, meditate, realize. And then I close out, it says give thanks, but I close out with gratitude. So if everybody is willing to join along with me, I'd like you to just kind of think of your name. You don't have to say it out loud for God. In your mind's eye, in your highest of hearts, as you drop from that head space down into the heart, I just say, ah, ah. As the original words were Abba, I start out with gratitude as I know that as I sit with you, I believe as I change my focus. I believe in awe and wonder, all the amazing things that are you. And I am grateful. As we relax in this now moment, we know that God is everywhere present and is the one power. We allow that to come through in us, as us, and become one with us. For as if a drop of water in the ocean is one with the ocean is one with that drop of water. With every breath, relax. I open my heart to you, sweet spirit, in gratitude for all of us that have come together to be in the awareness of one another, to be where we are as we are here, and we care. Know that in this now moment that you are perfect, whole, complete, and filled with infinite well-being and infinite blessings. In the silence, I release to you everything that is untrue and allow only your presence to fuel me and feed me with what is mine to do. And as I come to the ideas in mind's eye that everything is you that surrounds me, I feel that I am so richly blessed. From the friends that I keep, my family, my extended family, they are all a reflection of you, allowing me to be the highest as I combine and become thee. Forever, I am so grateful. For if it is true for me, I know it is true for all of you that we are filled with gratitude, and we say thank you. And so it is. I thank everybody for joining us today. And as we always close with a meditation, Reverend Donna has a way of bringing me to that place that I started in unity, that place of peace. So we bestow this peace, this love, this comfort, and this joy out to everyone as we close out with today's meditation.
Sweet Spirit, we are just so grateful that you are here with us, here within us on this day, that each of us can share your presence within our heart, within our mind, within our being, that your presence brings us peace and love, health and joy, that we can feel the energy of your heart beating in our heart and bringing health and wholeness Let us just focus on that energy that is within us as the impression, as the perception of it becomes stronger in our mind and in our body. We feel and we know that there is only one presence, one power in the universe and in our lives. And that is God the good, always good. God the omnipotent, God the protector, God the joy giver, all things that we need, all things that we desire are a part of our presence, are part of our understanding. And it is because of the divine ideas that are placed in our own minds that we have the desire for the good things of life. God leads us, and God only leads us where we can be kept. We can keep ourselves. We know and we understand the wonderful presence. And as we learn to practice that presence for our own selves, that we can share that energy with others that we meet, others that we learn to pray with, others that delight in the same presence that we do. It's all good, always good. And what is ours to do is to release any thoughts that are different from the goodness and allow ourselves to rest in the wholeness, in the joy, in the peace, in the health. Feel the movement of that energy of spirit within you. And know that you can touch this energy. You can reach out to this energy. You can become one with this energy of spirit anytime that you choose. We are not alone. The Spirit of God is upon us. And so it is.
Thought about prayer that I mentioned was Matthew. It's actually Mark 11:24. Therefore, I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it
Yes.
will be yours.
Yes.
That combined with this year's World Day of Prayer of I opened my heart to healing in this moment is just perfect.
Yeah.
It's just perfect. Every thought is a prayer. And you can go forth and be more engaged this year with World Day of Prayer. It does start this Wednesday. It's actually September 13th at 7 p.m. That's Central Time. That is 5 p.m. Pacific Time. And anybody can go to worlddayofprayer.org and register for free. I'm going to try to make it because Wednesday is my night off. It does have a wonderful opening ceremony that I usually like to attend. And then the next night it is Michael Gott and Karen Drucker. And there's prayer services throughout the day. This year, I've been trying to talk my niece into let me stay with her. And I can go up because she lives in Lee Summit, which is right outside of Unity Village.
That's right.
But if not, I hope to see everybody else there online. And I'm going to say goodbye for now. Reverend Eva is going to actually be leading us with the guiding prayer for World Day of Prayer as we close out this
prayer this year.
It is. It is. So do we want to say goodbye to all of our friends at Unity in the Olympics?
Goodbye to all of our friends and Unity in the Olympics. And I'll see you next week.
Yes, you will. Reverend Donna has stepped up next week, and it's going to be a wonderful service. I'll see you there on Zoom.
Yes.
All right. Bye for now.